You checkmated 2 warlocks. Say that with me one more time, because it needs to land in your bones before we go any further. You checkmated 2 warlocks. Not one, but 2 separate people who each tried in their own way behind your back to reach into your life and pull energy out of you. Like you were a battery they were entitled to plug into. And here is the part that is about to give you chills. They thought they were winning. They thought you didn't see it. And this whole time, you were 3 moves ahead and karma was already loading up in their background, waiting for its turn to step onto the board. That is what this is about today. Not one villain, but 2. 2 working separately, working together, feeding off each other's failure, and still walking away with nothing, while you walked away lighter, sharper, and more powerful than you were before they ever even showed up. I want you to actually sit with that word, checkmate, for a second, because it is not just a cute phrase for the title. Checkmate means the king cannot move. It means every escape route is closed. It means the other side didn't lose because they got unlucky. They lost because the whole board had already been arranged against them, and they just didn't know it yet. That is exactly what happened here. These 2 people came for your energy, thinking you were an easy target, a square just waiting to be taken. They didn't know they had already walked into a trap that you built without even trying, just by being who you are. So, let us talk about how this actually played out, because I know a lot of you lived some version of this exact story, and you didn't even have language for it until right now. The first one was not subtle. This one was loud about it, almost proud of it, like they wanted to create chaos. As soon as they decided to start doing the strange things people do when they are trying to destabilize you. The mixed signals, the guilt trips, the little digs disguised as jokes, the sudden coldness followed by sudden sweetness. You clocked it almost instantly. You sat there thinking, do you really believe I don't see what you are doing right now? But instead of confronting it loudly, you let them keep going. You wanted to see how far they would actually take it. And because you are good, because your face does not always tell the truth about what your mind already knows, they mistook your silence for cluelessness. The less you reacted, the bolder they got. The more you smiled and nodded, the sloppier they became, until this person was not even bothering to hide what they were doing anymore. They got comfortable, they got careless, and the moment you finally looked them dead in the eye and let them know without saying a single word, I see exactly what you are, something in them cracked. You didn't scream, you didn't argue, you just stopped. You pulled away, cut the cord, and walked out of the room they thought they controlled. And that is when the panic set in, because now they had to explain your absence to everyone else, and the story they told was never the truth. It was something like, oh, they just cut me off for no reason, or they got weird out of nowhere. You have heard that before, haven't you? That specific flavor of a lie people tell when they get caught and cannot admit it. They know exactly what they did. They just cannot survive other people knowing it, too. But here is the thing about someone who has been outplayed. They don't just walk away quietly. Their ego needs a second act. It needs some way to get the control back that they lost the moment you saw through them. So enter the second one. This one was different, quieter, smarter about hiding it. Or at least they thought they were smarter about hiding it. You had to pay closer attention this time because on the surface, Nothing looked wrong. If you tried to explain it to somebody outside the situation, of course, it would have sounded like nothing, like you were imagining things, like you were being dramatic over small stuff that didn't add up to anything on paper. That is the exact trap covert manipulation sets. It is designed to sound unbelievable out loud, even when it is completely real while you are living inside it. So you learned fast that talking about it to other people was not going to help you. It would only make you look unstable, while this person kept smiling in every room like they had nothing to hide. So instead, you did something most people do not have the discipline to do. You went quiet. You watched. You gathered the pieces yourself instead of waiting for someone else to validate what your gut already knew. And you found out this second one was not even a stranger to the first one. They knew each other. They were working both sides, pretending to be your ally, while quietly feeding information, sympathy, or straight-up encouragement to the person who had already tried and failed to destabilize you. That is called triangulation. It means using a third party to make you feel isolated, confused, and outnumbered, so you doubt your own read on reality. It is one of the oldest tricks in the psychology books, and it only works on people who do not trust themselves, which meant it was never going to work on you, because somewhere along the way, through everything you survived, you learned to trust your own knowing over everyone else's performance. Manipulation is expensive. You know that it takes energy to keep a lie balanced, to keep two people convinced of two different versions of you, to keep the whole performance from collapsing. And the second you started pulling your energy back, the second you stopped giving them your attention, your reactions, your explanations, and your access, they felt it immediately. That is what silence does to people who are used to feeding off your noise. They tried to pull you back into the game. They wanted the drama. They wanted you chasing clarity, chasing answers, chasing them. And you didn't bite. You didn't need the full story to know something was off. You just felt it, and you removed yourself clean and quiet before either one of them could finish whatever plan they thought they were running. And that is when something almost funny happened. Two people who probably do not even like each other, who were never really loyal to each other in the first place, suddenly had to become best friends in defeat. Because misery loves company and failure loves an alibi. They started comforting each other, rationalizing what happened, telling each other some story where you are the villain and they are the victims, because that is easier to live with than the truth, which is that neither one of them could touch you the way they thought they could. Let me paint this picture for you in a way that lands differently. Imagine someone trying to secretly siphon gas from your car in the middle of the night. They think they are being clever, creeping around with their little hose, convinced you are asleep and oblivious. But what they don't realize is that you upgraded to a high-tech security system that they tripped the moment they stepped onto your driveway. The checkmate is not just you stopping them. It is the universe locking the gate while they are still inside your property, still holding the hose, still thinking they got away with something. They tried to play a game in your house without realizing you own the board, the pieces, and the rules. You don't even have to lift a finger. The universe is handling the paperwork for their consequences. They really thought they were playing checkers, but you were playing chess. And here is the thing about chess. It is not about reacting to what your partner just did. It is about anticipating what they are going to do 3 moves from now. That is what you did, even if you didn't consciously realize it at the time. Your energy has its own internal radar system, a spiritual security protocol that most people never bother to install because they don't think they need it. But you have been through enough to know that people do not always come with good intentions. So you built your defenses quietly, without fanfare, without announcing to the world that you are no longer an easy target, and that silence was your greatest weapon. And underneath all of it, both of them are asking the same question, even if they never say it out loud. How did this person outsmart us in the game? We didn't even tell them we were playing. How did they see it before we even finished setting it up? The answer is simple and beautiful, and it is the whole reason we are here today. You do not need to enjoy games to know how to survive them. You do not need to seek out conflict to know how to end it clean. Somewhere along your life, through things you didn't ask for, you were trained, painfully, I think, to recognize when someone's energy toward you is not honest. And once you have that radar, it does not turn off. It just gets quieter and sharper the older you get. Now let us zoom out, because I want you to understand why people like this show up in the first place, and why it is never really about you being unlucky in love or unlucky in friendship. People who try to pull energy from you, and I mean that literally, not just emotionally, do not come into your life randomly. They come in at very specific moments. Either you are in a stable place, standing fully in who you are, or you are at the lowest point you have ever been, running on empty and quietly begging the universe for anything that looks like relief. And that second version of you, tired, isolated, doubting yourself, craving to be seen, touched, and chosen, is the version certain people are drawn to because that version is easiest to attach to. Not because you are weak, but because you are open. There is a difference. Openness is not a flaw. It is actual proof that you are still capable of trusting, still capable of hoping, even after everything. But people who do not have their own light learn to find rooms where somebody else's light is shining, and they slide in close enough to warm themselves without ever contributing any of their own. Think about it like this. Some people are genuinely gifted. Some people can walk into a room and shift the temperature just by being present. Some people can say 10 words and completely change how another person feels about their entire day. Some people write something, sing something, or speak something, and other human beings feel healed just from being on the receiving end of it. That is not an accident. That is a form of power, even if nobody ever taught you to call it that. And here is the uncomfortable truth. People who do not have that kind of power can still recognize it in someone else. They can see it even when you don't see it in yourself yet. And instead of building their own, some of them try to borrow yours quietly, slowly, through closeness, through intimacy, through convincing you they are the missing piece, through making themselves so present in your life that separating from them starts to feel like separating from a part of yourself. That is the real thing. It is not dramatic. It is not always visible fraud, and it rarely looks like a crime while it is happening. It looks like late-night conversations that leave you more drained than before you had them. It looks like a relationship where their life keeps improving while yours quietly stalls out. It looks like opportunities suddenly opening up for them right around the same time you start feeling foggier, more anxious, and less like yourself. It looks like you giving and somehow still being the one who ends up apologizing. Spiritual identity theft is real, but your soul has the ultimate encryption. The moment they touched your energy, they signed their own eviction notice. They tried to dim your light because they couldn't handle your glow. And when that didn't work, they tried to steal a sip from your cup, but they didn't know it was overflowing with protection. Your energy is not just a resource. It is a VIP lounge, and they just got permanently blacklisted. You didn't even have to raise your voice or create a scene. You simply stopped playing their game, and the game ended on your terms. The checkmate happened the second they decided to cross your line, and everything after that was just them waiting to find out what you actually knew. Here is the thing about people who try to siphon your energy. They are always convinced they are the smartest person in the room. Of course, they believe their plan is airtight. Their manipulation is invisible, and nobody sees the strings they are pulling. But what they don't account for is the universe. The universe has a way of exposing what is hidden. Not always immediately, unfortunately, and not always dramatically, but eventually. And when that exposure happens, it does not just reveal their actions. It reveals their character, the lies they told, the people they triangulated, the versions of themselves they presented to different people to keep the whole operation running. All of it comes to light eventually, and when it does, there is no amount of rationalization or victim playing that can undo the truth. But here is what nobody tells you until you have lived through it enough times to finally learn the lesson. Nobody gets access to your energy without you opening the door. That is not a guilt trip. That is actually the most empowering truth in this entire conversation.